And please, that's why I'm also wondering, where's the freedom of the press? If you're already asking us to actually turn on camera or turn off camera, or maybe tomorrow they're going to be asking them, can you please filter this out of this conversation? Let's have this go through. So I don't know where we stand. And I do not even know if the law truly actually backs us up and gives us that right to actually come out boldly and say no. Like she said, the NTA guy turned off his camera and was about, pack them aside. That's out of fear. So when you do not have that courage, you do not have that legal backing, you don't have even the security backing. I doubt you'll be able to do so much.
It was the people that actually stood up to say, oh, let's fight for this. Like, why would you? And of course, everybody recognizes the media is actually powerful. And then shutting them down means you have something that shouldn't be said. You have something that you shouldn't have. You have something that shouldn't be in your possession. Because, of course, we are now left to analyze it and see it in different perspectives. And none of this perspective is going to be positive on the wreck of Imo State, given the level of insecurity and what not and what has been said, particularly about Imo State and Kogi State in this said elections. But then, of course,
well, I know we'll be waiting for damage control. There'll be press statement or press release to do the damage control. We're waiting because we want to know the reasons why the media has to turn off their cameras.
Turn off the cameras.
Anyway, that's what we call for our documentary, so you know everything unfolding for this election. Stay tuned.
The confidence is there. Hope is back for Nigeria. Just let us be united. Thank you. God bless Federal Republic of Ghana.
Still in the year of the just concluded general elections, which breathed the new administration into power, the year not yet out still witnesses the gubernatorial election from 3 states in the country. With a total of 5.41 million eligible voters, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is set to conduct the governorship elections in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi State on Saturday of November 11th, 2023. Meanwhile, citizens of these various states have anticipated the day of the elections as various supporters agitate for their candidates to emerge.
When you look at Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa, they are part of the 8 states that will normally have off-season governorship election. You know, when I say 8 states, we have Ondo State, we have Ekiti State, we have Osun State, we have Edo State, we have Anambra State, we have Bayelsa, we have Kogi, and we have the same Imo. So Imo, Kogi, Bayelsa, they're also part of the 8 states in Nigeria that will normally conduct off-season election. And when you look at the off-season election, the game that played out in the 3 states, they are not new to us. Let me start from Kogi. When you look at Kogi State, although from 1999, we had the same smooth running of governorship election in Kogi State when we have the late Audu in Kogi State. At the end of the day, when he left power in 2003, we have former governor of that state, Ibrahim Idris, popularly called Ibro. But at the long run, Idris and his deputy, Philip, were removed from office, and that was what led to this issue of off-season election in Kogi State. At the end of the day, though they were restored, then from that we have Captain Idris Wada. From Captain Idris Wada, we have again election conducted again. The Abakadu that was first the elected civilian governor in Kogi since 1999 came back to contest the election, but saw what happened on the verge of becoming the winner of that election. He died, and that was give another space for Kogi election, because during the time that late Audu died in the 2015 general election in Kogi State, no, we don't have the provision in the law. So he raised a constitutional crisis in Nigeria that who should continue from where late Audu stopped. And don't forget, in that primary, the present governor, or let me say the outgoing governor of Kogi State, Yaya Bello, contested the primary with late Audu then, and during that election, Audu won the primaries, and he was the governorship candidate of APC in 2015 in Kogi State. He ran with James Faleke. So when he died, and he raised a constitutional crisis in Nigeria that who should continue from where he stopped, should it be his running mate, James Faleke, or should it be Yaya Bello, that both of them ran on the APC primary together? So that one gave a space in such a day that the election there was put on hold. At the end of the day, Yaya Bello, who contested the primary with him, was nominated to continue doing so.
In the case of Imo, Imo has always been a conservative state. Imo has always been under the rule of conservative political party, i.e. PDP, from 1999 until about 4 years ago, when Uzodimma became governor. And how did it happen? It was Honorable Ihodewa that INEC announced as the person who won the election of Imo Guba election. But and Uzodimma came third. He came this time third, and he challenged that election in court, and he was able to convince court of the land, and the court now ruled that Ihodewa, Honorable Ihodewa, did not win the election, having not complied substantially with the provision of Electoral Act and Nigerian Constitution. And what they did at Supreme Court was that they removed certain unlawful votes from that of Honorable Ihodewa, and that was that. They said, okay, the remaining votes of Uzodimma is the highest, and it was declared as a winner, and that was how he became the governor of Imo State. And let's now go to Bayelsa. In Bayelsa, in the last election, gubernatorial election, it was APC that won the election. APC won, and before that, PDP had always been in charge of Bayelsa State. Bayelsa is equally a conservative state since 1999 to that period. And we should not forget as well that President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan had issue with the national leadership of PDP, and he said, well, if you will not listen to me, if you don't allow me to have a say in my state, I will show my strength. And he supported APC candidate, that is Honorable Leon. He supported him, and by essence, believing in Goodluck Jonathan as the immediate past president of Nigeria, they voted for APC, and Leon was elected. But unfortunately, that joint ticket of Leon and one major general, that major general had an issue, maybe with his name or with certificates, and that was challenged in court. The eve of their swearing in, of their inauguration, was when Supreme Court pronounced that that man was not qualified to be nominated as deputy governorship candidate. And what's a joint ticket? If anything happens to either of the parties, it will affect the ticket. And on the strength of that, Supreme Court now pronounced that APC did not have candidates for that election. And what it means that the candidate of the party that came second would naturally become the governor. That was how Durudiri was declared, PDP, as the lawfully elected governor of Bayelsa. And overnight, he was sworn in as a governor. And that was how the thing went back to PDP. It was a short-lived victory for APC. So from that, we will discover that the three states had a lot of checkered history when it comes to politics or governance or governorship in Nigerian politics.
These three states have been known for a peculiarity or another, which has made people deliver speculations on the possible outcomes. Kogi states have recorded various elections marred with violence during elections. And just like this state,
it is obvious that anyone calling for the sack of the group CEO, Mele Kyari, is completely backward in the news and current affairs of Nigeria. We see those behind this as political jobbers and willing tools of blackmail who go about castigating one organization after another in a bid to get money from them or even get contract for their personal gains. They are fifth columnists and agents of darkness who are sent to blackmail people that they feel is not patronizing them. Our candid advice to them today is to engage themselves in lucrative and productive and progressive endeavors, such as making laws, presenting motions that will enhance and benefit those that have sent them to the National Assembly to represent them. Mr. Speaker, sir, we demand today that you call and forward the names of these members to the Chairman Ethics Committee to investigate and take necessary action, and let disciplinary actions be taken against them so that it will serve as deterrent to those who want to come to the House of Rep and become racketeers. It is on record that the group CEO of NNPC Limited made history, made a historic payment of interim dividend into federal account in less than 3 months into the stoppage of fuel subsidy payment. Since Kyari came into office, NNPC have recorded 284 billion profit in 2020, 674 billion in 2021, and maximized the NNPC's loss from 803 billion to as low as 1.5 billion. Recall the role he played to ensure the passage of the landmark Petroleum Industrial Act (IPA) for the deregulation of the petroleum sector. Malam Kyari is best described as the goose that lays the golden egg in NNPC Limited. It is in this view that we gathered here today, as you can see in our hundreds. Hereby, we fully pass a very big vote of confidence on the on NNPC and the group GCEO of NNPC, Malam Kyari, to continue performing as he has been performing.
At the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, while noting that the ultimate responsibility for election security lies within the security agencies, spoke on the need for security agencies to take decisive action against perpetrators of electoral violence.
Violence and other undemocratic activities, such as vote buying, attack on election officials, and disruption of the electoral process, will never be and must never be condoned. However, ultimate responsibility.
They were initially not added to his own figure that made him to came forth in that election, were added by Supreme Court. That was what
is there. Hope is back for Nigeria. Just let us be united. Thank you. God bless Federal Republic of Ghana.
Still in the year of the just concluded general elections, which breathed the new administration into power, the year not yet out still witnesses the gubernatorial election from 3 states in the country. With a total of 5.41 million eligible voters, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) is set to conduct the governorship elections in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi State on Saturday of November 11th, 2023. Meanwhile, citizens of these various states have anticipated the day of the elections as various supporters agitate for their candidates to emerge.
when you look at Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa, they are part of the 8 states that will normally have off-season governorship election. You know, when I say 8 states, we have Ondo State, we have Ekiti State, we have Osun State, we have Edo State, we have Anambra State, we have Bayelsa, we have Kogi, and we have the same Imo. So Imo, Kogi, Bayelsa, they're also part of the 8 states in Nigeria that will normally conduct off-season election. And when you look at the off-season election, the game that played out in the 3 states, they are not new to us. Let me start from Kogi. When you look at Kogi State, although from 1999, we had the same smooth running of governorship election in Kogi State when we have the late Audu in Kogi State. At the end of the day, when he left power in 2003, we have former governor of that state, Ibrahim Idris, popularly called Ibro. But at the long run, Idris and his deputy, Philip, were removed from office, and that was what led to this issue of off-season election in Kogi State. At the end of the day, though they were restored, then from that, we have Captain Idris Wada. From Captain Idris Wada, we have, again, election conducted again, the Abubakar Adu, that was first the elected civilian governor in Kogi since 1999, came back to contest the election, but saw what happened on the verge of becoming the winner of that election. He died, and that was gave another space for Kogi election, because during the time that late Audu died in the 2015 general election in Kogi State, no, we don't have the provision in the law. So he raised a constitutional crisis in Nigeria. That's who should continue from where late Audu stopped. And don't forget, in that primary, the present governor, or let me say the outgoing governor of Kogi State, Yaya Bello, contested the primary with late Audu then, And during that election, Audu won the primaries, and he was the governorship candidate of APC in 2015 in Kogi State. He ran with James Faleke. So when he died, and he raised a constitutional crisis in Nigeria that who should continue from where he stopped. Should it be his running mate, James Faleke, or should it be Yaya Bello, that both of them ran on the APC primary together? So that one gave a space in such a day that the election there was put on hold. At the end of the day, Yaya Bello, who contested the primary with him, was nominated to continue doing so.
In the case of Imo, Imo has always been a conservative state. Imo has always been under the rule of conservative political party, i.e. PDP, from 1999 until about 4 years ago, when Opin Sodima became governor. And how did it happen? It was Honorable Ihodewa that INEC announced as the person who won the election of Imo Guba election. But Opin Sodima came third. He came this time third, and he challenged that election in court, and he was able to convince court of the land, and the court now ruled that Honorable Ihodewa did not win the election, having not complied substantially with the provision of Electoral Act and Nigerian Constitution. And what they did at Supreme Court was that they removed certain unlawful votes from that of Honorable Ihodewa, and that was that. They said, okay, the remaining votes of Opin Sodima is the highest, and it was declared as a winner, and that was how he became the governor of Imo State. And let's now go to Bayelsa. In Bayelsa, in the last election, gubernatorial election, it was APC that won the election. APC won, and before that, PDP had always been in charge of Bayelsa State. Bayelsa is equally a conservative state since 1999 to that period. And we should not forget as well that President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan had issue with the national leadership of PDP, and he said, well, if you will not listen to me, if you don't allow me to have a say in my state, I will show my strength. And he supported APC candidate, that is Honorable Leon. He supported him, and by essence, believing in Goodluck Jonathan as the immediate past president of Nigeria, they voted for APC, and Leon was elected. But unfortunately, that joint ticket of Leon and one major general, that major general had an issue, maybe with his name or with certificates, and that was challenged in court. The eve of their swearing in, of their inauguration, was when Supreme Court pronounced that that man was not qualified to be nominated as deputy governorship candidate. And what's a joint ticket? If anything happens to either of the parties, it will affect the ticket. And on the strength of that, Supreme Court now pronounced that APC did not have candidates for that election. And what it means that the candidate of the party that came second would naturally become the governor. That was how Durudiri was declared, PDP, as the lawfully elected governor of Bayelsa. And overnight, he was sworn in as a governor. And that was how the thing went back to PDP. It was a short-lived victory for APC. So from that, we discover that the three states had a lot of checkered history when it comes to politics or governance or governorship in Nigerian politics.
These three states have been known for a peculiarity or another, which has made people deliver speculations on the possible outcomes. Kogi states have recorded various elections marred with violence during elections. And just like this state, Bayelsa and Imo states have also witnessed various forms of irregularities, amongst other things.
Kogi politics is this issue of violence and so on and so forth. It has been there right from day one. In fact, when you look at this current election now, 40,000 police officers already deployed to Kogi State, 40,000 unprecedented on the issue of off-season election in Nigeria. So that is Kogi for you. In fact, when we're doing our analysis, we discovered that from January 1, 2003 to November 4, 2023, we've recorded 101 violence in the three states, Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa State. Guess what? Bayelsa State just having, we recorded 20 violence incidents in Bayelsa State. In Imo State, we managed to have 34, but in Kogi State, we managed to have 47 electoral violence since the beginning of this year till this present moment. So that is Kogi politics for you. And again, let's go to Imo State. You know, Imo State since 1999 has been predominantly PDP state since 1999. Start from when Chuba was there. At the end of the day, when we have Ikedi Ohakim, who became the governor of that particular state in 2007. Even though when you look at Ikedi Ohakim, who came in 2007, Ikedi Ohakim came on the platform of PPA. But at the end of the day, he defected to People Democratic Party. But what did we see in 2011? Rochas Okorocha did not allow him to enjoy that 8 years in office. So we saw Rochas Okorocha came in 2011 to become the governor of Imo State, and Rochas was there for 8 years. And when Rochas was leaving, something played out in Imo in 2019 governorship election in that particular state. We saw Rochas under APC did not support the candidature of APC in 2019 governorship election in Imo State. He supported his in-law, who happens to be once commissioner for works in Imo State, graduated to become a commissioner of works, down to the chief of staff to the governor, Henry Uwosu, under AAC. So a drama played out in 2019 governorship election in Imo State, when sitting governor Rochas Okorocha did not support the candidature of Upu Uzodinma, who happens to be a sitting senator there. And at the end of the day, Ikedi Ohakim, the former deputy speaker of House of Reps of PDP, was declared the winner of that particular election. The sitting governor came fourth at that particular election in Imo State in 2019. But what did you see? Upu Uzodinma went to court, approached court, that know that he won that particular election, and he approached court with evidences. Someone becoming fourth, at the end of the day, by Supreme Court, pronounced to become the winner of that election. Up to today, majority of Nigerians does not understand how Upu Uzodinma, who came fourth on that particular election, ended up becoming the winner of that election. And what Supreme Court rule is very simple, because Upu Uzodinma approached court that more than 3,000 polling unit results were not added to his result. More than 3,000 polling unit results were not added to his result, and he tendered evidences before the court. And at the end of the day, he brought those evidences to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court could discover that all those polling unit results were stamped, confirmed by INEC. And at the end of the day, all those results, they were initially not added to his own figure that made him to came fourth in that election, were added by Supreme Court. That was what made Upu Uzodinma to become the governor of Imo State, from fourth, becoming the first governor in that particular state, coming first in that particular election. So that was how Upu Uzodinma emerged to become the governor of Imo State in 2019. So at the end of the day, don't forget that Ikedi Ohakim was here for some months. So by January 2020, Upu Uzodinma was declared the winner and was sworn in to become the governor of Imo State. So Imo politics as well is quite interesting when you look at the politics of South region.
In Kogi, ethnicity determines a lot of things in Kogi. And Kogi had 21 local governments. Igala has the highest number of local governments, spread in the eastern and western central district of the state. So which means voting population of Kogi is greater than any other ethnic group put together. So which means where Igalas go will determine where governor will come from. Ebira equally has that strength, but not as much as Igala. Igala determines a lot of things in Kogi politics. So to me, I think ethnicity will determine a lot of what should be expected in the next election. Candidate of APC, who is from the same senatorial district with the current governor. In fact, from Ebira land, from the current government. So they are not, but I think power of incumbency should not be underestimated here. Power of incumbency will play a major role in who becomes what in Kogi. And what is more in Kogi, of course, is that the son of Abubakar Audu is today a federal minister and is today in full support of the candidature of Ododo to succeed Yaya Bello. And like I said, Abubakar Audu is from Igala. So if the son of Abubakar Audu is in support of the candidate of APC, who is from Ebira land, I think we should expect that it's likely to be not too tough context for APC to win. And let me tell you this, the contest is going to be 2 or straight between PDP and APC.
Now, dating back to the history of governors in this state, it could be said that they have had their own fair share of struggles during the evolving period of leadership in their regions. Bayelsa State happens to be a state that has been governed majorly by one party, which is the People's Democratic Party, PDP. It started with Governor Diepre Alamesiga under the People's Democratic Party, PDP, from 29th of May 1999 to 2005. His leadership was followed by Goodluck Jonathan, who ruled under the People's Democratic Party as well, from 9th of December 2005 to 29th of May 2007. Timipre Silva became the governor under the People's Democratic Party from the 29th of May 2007, and then shortly after, his election was nullified and Wereni Precia Baroko became the acting governor on the 16th of April 2008 to May of that same year. Timipre Silva was later restored back to office on the 27th of May 2008 and ruled till the 27th of January 2012 after he was re-elected. Although Timipre Silva was not done with facing the court, as his tenure was terminated by the Supreme Court, giving space to Nastor Binabo, who also became acting governor from the 27th of January 2012 to the 14th of February that same year. This leadership was followed by another administration, which was led by Henry Dixon, who, however, became an elected governor under the PDP from the 14th of February 2012 to the 14th of February 2020. And currently, the state is governed by Doye Diri, who took over office on the 14th of February 2020 under the People's Democratic Party. Moving further, Kogi State, like Bayelsa, had some military administrators before the democracy that was embraced in 1999. The civil rule began with Prince Audu Abubakar on the 29th of May 1999 under the All Nigerian People's Party as the second democratically elected governor, as he was the first democratically elected governor in January 1992. His administration was followed by Ibrahim Idris' administration, who ruled under the People's Democratic Party from the 29th of May 2003 to the 6th of February 2008. Clarence Olafemi was the Speaker Kogi State Assembly, who assumed office after the removal of the governor, Ibrahim Idris, and his deputy, Philip Salau, by the Supreme Court due to the nullification of the re-elections in 2007 governorship polls on the grounds that the Independent National Electoral Commission wrongly excluded the All Nigerian People's Party candidate Abubakar Audu from the 14th of April 2007 governorship poll. After that incident, the rule of the People's Democratic Party continued with the emergence of Idris Wada as the governor of the state from January 2012 to January of 2016. Now, the 2015 election that birthed the administration under the incumbent governor Yahya Bello and also gave the helm of leadership to the All Progressive Congress APC recorded an historic event when Audu Abubakar died mysteriously on the day of the election, and Yahya Bello was selected as his replacement as party nominee and was sworn in the following year on the 24th of January 2016. He, however, ran for elections in 2019 and emerged governor, giving him a chance of a second term. Now, Imo State has also some history of civilian leadership, which began in 1999 with Achike Udinwa, who ruled under the People's Democratic Party, PDP, from the 29th of May 1999 to the 29th of May 2007 in the Nigerian's Fourth Republic, as he had various civilian predecessors who ruled before him. Unlike the other states who had recorded more administrators, this state had recorded more governors during the military era. The next administration took off with Ikedi G. Ohakim, who came into office on the 29th of May 2007 to the 29th of May 2011 under the Progressive People's Alliance, who later switched to the People's Democratic Party. Shortly after, Owele Rochas Anayo Okocha came into office on the 29th of May 2011 to the 29th of May 2019 and governed under the All Progressive Congress. Emeka Ihadioha took over on the 29th of May 2019 till 15th of January 2020 under the People's Democratic Party, after which Hope Uzodinma under the All Progressive Congress took over governance from the 15th of January 2020 till date. Now currently, the same energy which was observed in the just concluded general elections has been seen in the governorship elections, and the question on everyone's mind is who will become the next governors of each of the states.
When we look at Kogi, Kogi is quite different because Kogi is in north central of Nigeria. And when you look at Kogi State as well, Kogi is being divided into 3 senatorial districts. We have Kogi East, Kogi West, and Kogi Central. Since 1999, till when Yabelo became the governor of Kogi State, it has been the Kogi East have been ruling Kogi State. So they've not given Kogi Central and Kogi West the opportunity to become the governor of Kogi State. And in Kogi, like I said, we have Kogi East, Kogi West, and Kogi Central. Kogi West happens to be the minority in Kogi State, the Yoruba speaking in Kogi State. That's where we have the current PDP governorship candidates now in that Kogi State. Dino Melaye happens to come from Kogi West. Senator Sumat Adeyemi, former senator from Kogi West, from Yoruba speaking area in Kogi State. Even the ADC governorship candidate Adeleke in this election happens to be from Kogi West. Now, it was even the advent of Yabelo that gave the Kogi Central the opportunity to become the governor of Kogi State. Now, Kogi Central now will now be completing their 8 years in office through Yabelo. And again, another thing raised EU when Yabelo was trying leaving office now. When they conducted their last primary, people were like, APC should move down to Kogi West because, like I said, Kogi West has never produced governor in Kogi State. And at the end, what did we see? We saw Yabelo again picking a candidate from Kogi Central again, Adudu, from Kogi Central again, that it will succeed him. And I think that one led to EU between him, I'm talking about Yabelo, and Senator Smart Adeyemi. You know, Smart Adeyemi also ran on the ticket of APC to become the governorship candidate of APC in this particular election. But what do we say at the end of the day? Smart Adeyemi lost out at the court. So it shows that if at the end of the day, Adodo now declared the winner of the election, it shows that Kogi Central will retain power after 8 years. And that was what justified the action of Governor Yabelo, that Kogi East has been there for years. In fact, if not because of the death of late Audu, it will have been Kogi East in 2015 governorship election in Kogi State. So that is dynamism of Kogi politics since 1999 down to where we are today. And when you look at Kogi, Kogi is an historic state in Nigeria. Don't forget, that's where we have a Lord Lugard that did amalgamation of Nigeria, Southern and the Northern Nigeria Protectorate. In fact, his wife, Folasho, was one that gave us this EU of Nigeria, you know, River Niger and River Benue. In fact, it's one of the first capital in Nigeria before moved down to Calabar, from Calabar to Lagos, from Lagos to now where we have it now in Abuja. So Kogi politics is quite interesting to we Nigerians.
This year happened to be spectacular as the issues of insecurity and violence has stopped the event of the electoral process. This has caused many to fault the electoral process and restrain from participating in the exercise due to the fear of the unknown. The fight for leadership in the states is tough as every contender could be seen given all it takes to emerge victorious.
In Bayelsa this weekend is going to be a game of tussle between PDP and APC. But guess what? No, people were talking there when PDP was planning to have their governorship ticket. People were talking that they should give it again to David Long, who ran on the ticket in 2019, but they did not give him. Rather, they gave it to the former governor of that particular state, who happened to be the immediate past minister of petroleum of state under the regime of former President Muhammadu Buhari, that is Timi Presifa. And you could see that after the ticket, the EU came out that he has taken oath of office twice, that he cannot even become the governor of Bayelsa State. The case was in State High Court, ruled that Timi Presifa cannot become the governor of Bayelsa State. He went to appeal court. Recently, appeal court gave him that judgment that should be on the ballot. So on this weekend now, to me, in Bayelsa, it's going to be a two-horse race between PDP and APC. Will APC take over power in Bayelsa State? What they tried in 2019 that even came out by the end of this day, court did not allow it to stand. So all would do a deal, continue his administration for the last leg in Bayelsa State, like what we saw when Dixon was there and got elected. During the second tenure of Seraki Dixon becoming the governor of this state, that INEC came up with that particular guideline that no, there's be a simultaneous election. By the time you approach the polling unit, accredited, immediately you have your ballot paper, you vote, and you go back to your house. And again, we carry out a security analysis, and we try to see those things that are likely to play out in this election in 3 states. You know, in Kogi State, try to come out what we call armed clashes, destruction of electoral violence, and shooting. Those are the security threats people are able to identify in Kogi State. In Imo State, armed clashes, destruction of electoral materials, political talks, and assassination. In Bayelsa State, the same thing again, armed clashes, shooting, adoption, and assassination. So those are the likely threats that might happen in this coming election. And that's why the IG, you know, last Sunday, IG was on a national TV on a tower meeting where he vowed that he will ensure that this election free, fair, and credible in such a way that people will be able to go out and exercise their franchise. When you look at the 3 states together, like I mentioned, Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa, due to the statistics and data now available now, people are saying that less than 30% of people will go out and cast their ballot, which is quite abysmal, and it's going to dent the image of our electoral process in Nigeria. So we are going to see that where people will go out peacefully and conduct their election.
Crowd does not translate into electoral victory. They are 2 different things. Some people are at the rally to just catch fun, just listen to you. Some are there because they are mobilized to be there. So I would not want us to be carried away with the crowd the SDP candidate is getting. I would not want us to be crowd with the crowd ADC candidate is getting. I would not want us to be carried away with the crowd PDP candidate is getting. I would not want to be carried away with the crowd APC candidate is getting. Election is beyond that.
Economically as well, these 3 states are endowed with natural resources expected to raise revenues in the state. Although, like many other states, they have suffered setbacks over the years and have not been able to reach their full potential due to some political choices made by the government.
Kogi of today might not be Kogi of our dream. Bayabelo had done his best. And the current situation of the Nigerian economy, it's always difficult for you to have a good governor or good governance. It's difficult. Because what is coming to some states not commensurate for what they have on grant. Imo is doing well, Bayelsa is doing well. And to my mind, Kogi is equally doing well economically. They are doing well. And if the current government at the federal level is allowed to carry out their various laudable projects, if their iron steel company comes on board, and other things comes, I can assure you, Kogi will be one of the best states, not only in the North Central, but in the whole of North. Because that industry, Ajaokuta Steel Rolling Company, if it comes on board, is going to employ direct employment about 100,000, indirect employment about 500,000. So if this comes on board fully, I can assure you Kogi will be better for it, and they will be able to put certain things in play. But for now, Kogi is struggling to survive, because Kogi is an agrarian state. And once you're agrarian state, it's always difficult for you to actually look inward and generate money. It's always difficult. You can't compare Kogi with Imo, for instance. You can't compare Kogi with Lagos, for instance. You cannot even compare Kogi with Oyo. You can't, because, so, what I'm saying is, of course, and like I said, say that journey Kogi is about 8 to 10 states. So they have a lot of challenges, a lot of influx, a lot of security breaches, a lot of things. And when they are planning, if they plan for their own people alone, there will be influence of people from these states to their states. And if you have ever passed through Kogi to north, you will understand what I'm saying. Now you see population in Kogi, they are trooping out. And you ask yourself, how is the government being able to actually better a lot of these people? There are so many, just like Lagos. There are so many. So to my mind, I think with time, our state will be the better for it. If you allow the current government at the national level to carry out all its laudable programs as spelled out, and if they are carried out, most states will be the better for it, because most things we are talking about now will be started in the states.
It is, however, safe to say that Nigeria, like other developing countries in the globe, is a work in progress. As such, we are implored to join hands together in unity, peace and love to move the country forward by practicing true patriotism and living by good conduct. Relatively, the government has the greatest share of the job, which is to enable fairness in the electoral system of the country and enable trust in every decision made to rule the nationals by practicing transparency and accountability.
Welcome back. You're still on to the live telecast of the off-cycle elections of Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa state elections. And now joining us is Uthman Isatochukwu, a constitutional lawyer, of course, to talk about this said elections. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very
Good
much
morning.
for having me, Mercy.
You're welcome once again. Good morning.
Good morning, Olamide.
I hope you're prepared to give us all of the details as you see it from the Kogi and Bayelsa and Imo state elections.
Well, we are all prepared. Let's see how it all roll out.
Okay.
I believe that we are all citizens of this country, and we are very much aware of what is happening, in terms of our, electoral cycles. Just like today, Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa. So let's see how it falls out.
Okay. Looking at the documentary that we just actually played, we've seen some of the candidates that are up for elections in the states. Even though we talk about 18 candidates in 2 states and 17 in the other, let's just concentrate on the front runners, starting with Kogi State. We have PDP giving us Dino Melaye, we have APC giving us Ododo, and we have Ajaka from SDP. What do you make of these 3 front runners in Kogi State?
I think to start with, there is one significant thing about Kogi State election. If you observe that Kogi State has about 3 major consensus, right? They have the Kogi Central, the Kogi East, and the Kogi West, right? And that of Kogi West is actually the majority of the constituency. That is where Dino Melaye comes from. And if you also look at the trajectory of the elections, right, I don't think anybody from that part of Kogi West has been able to lead Kogi State in terms of being a governor of Kogi State. And the sitting governor on the other part comes from the minority side of the constituency, and then he's now the governor of the state. I think what is going to play out this time would be that the majority would like to exercise that that their mightiness in terms of majority, to take back what they think that majority on that democracy should take. Majority carries the vote. While on the other side also, Governor Ayabelo would also try to insist that he's going to retain his mandate, being one of those trajectories of our elections in Nigeria, where you see that the incumbent trying to exercise, that power of incumbency in order to retain power. But on the other side, if you also look at the SDP candidate, his love ought to be this organic, like that of Buhari. Every Kogi person, if you look at the way his campaign mantra has been going on, every Kogi person, like, they want to have, a fresh of breath of air. Because if you put Senator Dino Melaye and that of Yaya Bello side by side, you would understand that as if both of them has been tested in terms of power position. Senator Dino Melaye has been a senator, about 2 terms after leaving the House of Rep to the Senate. So the Kogi people actually would have had a sense of, tests of his ability in terms of delivery to, campaign dividends and all of that. So they would have a sense of shift this time to have something new, and that should be from that of SDP. And I think if care is not taken, they don't have challenge as to between APC and PDP. They have challenge between APC and SDP.
But isn't even that a
shift.
breath of fresh air? I mean, away from APC and PDP, we've seen where the Labour Party was able to garner votes from Abia State, and now it looks like we might have a shift in Kogi State.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and I think it will help to also enrich our democracy so that we will not be having the same test of food all the time, moving from APC, PDP, APC. I like this, breath of fresh air that is about to happen in Kogi State, and I actually wish.
But never say never.
Never say never, right?
Of course,
because
the elections is like it's not over until it's over.
Every 1 minute even counts.
Exactly, and like I've said, if you watch the trajectory of election in Nigeria, you don't underplay the power of incumbency. Right.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the power of incumbency and zoning. There are issues around zoning even at the federal level. And you just talked about the majority and the minority. So do you see a situation where the power of incumbency will play over zoning or they would somehow interplay?
You see, you cannot separate zoning from the power of incumbency. I think it's about, they will interplay this time around. But I believe that if the real essence of majority, when you talk about democracy, would have to play in Kogi State. You will give it to Dino Melaye, having come from, the majority of the constituency in Kogi State. Kogi West is the highest constituency in Kogi State, and it's proper that if you want to argue from the point of majority carry the vote, it will be difficult for anybody to defeat Senator Dino Melaye. But again, you also need to look at it from the point of the citizens. They are actually tired of these both parties, PDP and APC, and especially if you look at the scorecard of the current governor of Kogi State, most of the civil servants are not happy with the way things were run. They owe about 18 months salary or less than that, and that should be called to question. And some of these people are the people you are going to rely on to give you that mandate. So
sorry to cut you short. 2 things. Talking about they don't want the same party over again. Do you actually think people would vote for the person or the party? That's one question. Question 2. We've seen where Natasha Akpoti is the first female senator we have in Kogi State, and some persons have said this would either make or mar the election, and of course this would directly divide the votes for this said election. Do you think our winning that election would actually affect the said election majorly, given that she's from a particular constituency, which of course is still part of the majority of Kogi State?
I feel that her winning this election would actually affect the outcome of the election in a positive way. Because if you look at the vote that went to Natasha, they did not vote both on party ground. They voted based on the candidacy, right? Because Natasha has been, has proven to be competent, has proven to be people driven, and her people admire her so much. And regardless of the platform, if Natasha had gone to another party platform, if not PDP, they would have still voted for her.
So that means it's the person, not the party.
Exactly. And that's why I'm being concerned about this SDP guy. It's not about the party.
The party is about the person.
Exactly. Because his trajectory over time, even before he comes to politics, he has been doing a lot of things for his people. And I think this is the time that his people want to give him that chance to come and do it more. And I think that is why it's going to be very, very unpredictable about Kogi State. It's no longer about APC has been there for a while. they are going to transmit power. It's not going to be very easy.
Okay, let's
honestly.
talk about other things that may be unpredictable when it comes to Kogi State. Let's talk about the security of the state. It's a state where we've known about the volatility when it comes to election matters and all of that. We know of their antecedent. Do you see a situation where the predictions that people have always had that, okay, these elections might also turn out violent, and the preparations from our security arms and all the things they've had to do, the boots that have been on ground, do you see a situation where there will probably, it will just be free, fair, credible, and also verifiable?
The truth is that we'll have to be very frank when we talk about this issue of being free, fair, and credible. In any elections in the world, including the United States, who have been certified and proven to be the highest democratic country in the world, they have some irregularities in their elections, right? Nigeria is not exception, and Kogi State also is not also an exception when it comes to this election thing. It's understandable that yes, Kogi State is known with this acronym of TATA. That's the sound of God. It must be. But I think this time around, we need to learn from our past. I don't think that is going to be allowed to be repeated. INEC has shown that they have a lot of collaborations and synergy with these security men for them to make sure that there is free, fair, and credible elections in Kogi State. Not only in Kogi State, but the other two states, Bayelsa and Imo.
Okay, so people are beginning to say that when it comes to these elections, we need to look beyond free, fair, credible, and also talk about being verifiable.
Well, when we talk about being verifiable, that also has to be attention to. Okay. Of course, we'll have CSOs, civil society organizations like Connected Development of Hamzat Lawal, we'll have Yaga, and some other CSOs that have been deployed to go and monitor in real time what is actually happening. And I believe that they will collect their data and show to the world whether the election was free, fair, and credible, and also verifiable. And for whatever the case may be, we shouldn't forget that the institutions like judiciary are also there to receive some grievances that may come up after the elections. And these are also issues that has to go deep down to satisfy if the election was actually credible.
Okay, let's talk about Imo State in particular. We played a video of the Imo State REC, of course, shutting down the media a few days ago. And of course, we cannot downplay the role of the media in all of this, whether we like it or not. I'd like you to get your opinion on that in like 60 seconds before we move to the next thing.
I actually I watched that clip, and I felt very sad. Of course, in my capacity as a constitutional lawyer, I go to court every day of my life, and I believe that that should be condemned, because if you look at it from the point of the Constitution, our law has made it very clear. Chapter 4 of the Constitution is very clear, specifically taking to Section 39 of the 1999 Constitution, which guarantee for freedom of expression and freedom of press. Right? You have the freedom to hold your opinions, so long as you are not impugning on another person's right. Okay, I was not happy the way they were treated, and I think they can recourse to the court to enforce their fundamental right. That was very unacceptable, and we cannot condone that in a democracy. I mean, especially looking at what is at stake. This is election. The only way you can communicate to the masses is through the media. So if you shut them out, it means we cannot have access to what is going on in real time. And this is why we have to condemn this, and not only condemn that, we need to take it up, to the highest authority.
Okay, now talking about taking it up to the highest authority, because it may seem as though there's really nobody to even stand with the media. Now, there was an example of the NTA guy that quickly packed up his equipment. He had to quickly do that. First of all, they'll tell you safety first. I think even INEC would always educate their ad hoc staff and tell them, make sure you're safe. Forget about every other equipment that must have been taken away from you. Do not struggle with them for your own life. So I believe that's what that person actually did. Make sure that, okay, they say turn it off. Maybe if I do not turn it off, something may happen to me. So that was the first thing they did before the stakeholders stood for them. Now, at this point, what should they have done?
Good. The media does not exist in vacuum, right? It is good for you to be safe before you can canvass for your right.
Okay.
Right? Another thing is that as a lawyer, we have NBA as a body, Nigerian Bar Association. The media also has a body where they belong to, as much as the press. Exactly. So they can go back, right? Now you have your life. Go back and fight for your rights to stop further occurrence, right? So that the NUJ or what press words can write, you know, to the authority, and then you as an individual, you can enforce your right. If you feel you have what it takes, that your fundamental right has been infringed, the law has given you that courage to take it up and go to court.
Okay, sorry to butt in. I'd like us to relate this with the current situation we have in Imo State with the Nigerian Labour Congress. Of course, a few weeks back we saw where the NLC president was arrested, beaten and battered. Of course, there's been the back and forth. Some faction is saying, oh, he wasn't beaten, he was taken in. Of course, we know how Nigeria is. But then the Inspector General of Police is talking about it, and he said, oh, he sent his men to, of course, find out what is actually going on. But the question is, it looks like there's a repeated case with Imo State as regards this election, because some persons are saying, why is NLC going on strike, and why did they have to have that the protests at that particular time, given the level of insecurity we have in Imo State? But then let's bother it and let's relate it with this video of where the REC has shut down the media. Do you think there's actually a synergy, and then should all of these things actually be coming to play? Because now you've shut down the media for the REC, and now the police, of course, arrested the NLC. Are you looking at shutting down the people, and will the people's vote actually matter at the end of the day in the said election? I would like you to answer that in 60 seconds before Victoria comes in.
I think it's important that we should separate what happened between the Nigerian Labour Congress and what happened between the government of Imo State and the press during the election, right? NLC have a particular thing they are fighting for. So, and that I think they struck at the wrong moment. Looking at the fact that election was actually very close to that particular state, it was a wrong time for them to have laid their grievances in that manner. And I think that was why it has to escalate to that level. So it's a different thing entirely.
I understand that this is particularly going to take us more time. So let's quickly take a look at what's happening in Kogi State right now. I think Governor Yabelo is at his voting center. So I think they can play that video for us to see. The video of Governor Yabelo at his own polling unit.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So there's that community Muslims.
What is it called? Mahatiba.
It's a community grammar school, Muslim community.
What are the questions you want to ask her?
Her name, her age.
She has said it.
But I did not, she said it to you.
She said she doesn't know her age. Fatima Juma, she mentioned it.
Okay, so why is she coming out to vote at this age?
So that the country, the state will be good and to feed well. You just want to vote to have a better leadership, a good leader.
Hey, my cousin, on Abuja.
Welcome back. Now joining us is Victoria Agbi from Owerri Municipal. But of course, let's take a report from Owerri before Victoria joins us. I didn't know. Join us from Owerri Municipal. Hi, Victoria.
Hello, Mercy. How are you doing
Hello.
today? Mercy, can you hear me?
All right, Victoria, if you can hear us, can you speak louder?
I can hear you, Mercy. Hello.
Okay, let's go on this quick break, and when we return, we'll return with a live telecast, of course, reaching you live from taking your calls. But then Victoria is joining us from Owerri Municipal. Victoria, good morning.
Good morning, Victoria.
Good morning, Victoria. Can you hear us?
Good morning, Mercy.
Good morning. How is it over there?
Well, so far it's been good from our side.
Okay.
Yes, we've been to about 5 to 6 polling units.
All right.
Here in Owerri Municipal.
Okay.
And so far, some polling units have experienced voting. As at the first polling unit we went to, the first polling we went to, there was no voting at the time, as at about 8:30 thereabouts.
Okay.
But then the second polling unit we went to at Azuzi, voting accreditation had started and voting had commenced at about 8:32 thereabouts still.
Okay. Please go ahead.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. You can go ahead, Victoria.
Okay, and then so far, when we got to Azuzi 1, we had information got to us that although voting had commenced in Azuzi, but we had information that only a particular political party were voting at that polling unit.
Sorry, just to confirm, for confirmation purpose, you said in Azuzi, rumor has it that only a particular political party is allowed to vote. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, only a political party was supporters of a political party was voting at the time, while the other parties, supporters or voters that came oppositions were chased away and not allowed to vote. Their tags also were collected.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then we are currently at Ikenegbu polling unit, and voting commenced at about 9:45. No, I beg your pardon, 9:50. We saw some rankers by voters who were agitating to commence votes, asking the INEC officials to commence as soon as possible. But as of now, voting accreditation and voting has commenced. The most important thing here is that the security officers and personnel are on ground. When we came, we saw security personnel were on ground, and of course, still there's been no much violence. Although when we got to that Azuzi, we were stopped by some indigenes of the state, telling us to go back, so to avoid being beaten. But we had some indigenes came through for us, telling us that we could go ahead since we are not political parties for journalists.
For journalists. Okay, so the media was allowed in Azuzi.
Yes, we got in.
Victoria, if I understand you properly, that means there's voter intimidation there, and there ought to be armed forces available on ground. What are they doing about it?
So if you notice, there was a video I sent earlier. We had to interview a particular person who said the police personnel were on ground when the intimidation, yet they did nothing. Although they've had to call the commissioner of police and authorities to come to their rescue, but then nothing yet have been done. But they said they are in. they are still going to do something about it. So we hope that they do something about it. Aside from that, we also experience voter apathy. We have low turnout of voters in most of the polling units. Like in the one of the largest polling units in Azuzi 2, it has the highest voter accreditation with 801 voters. However, only three, at the time I left there, only three has been accredited. Very
Only
low.
3 had been
Very, very
accredited,
low.
or only
Yes,
three were on ground?
yes, at the time. And those who were on ground were still very, very, very few. So the place where they had a population was at the Azusi one. However, like I said, we're informed that it was only one political party supporters that were there.
Okay. All right. Just to confirm with Ikenegbo, you said accreditation has started as of 9:50. So we would like to confirm if voting has started for that said polling unit.
Yes. Behind me, you see voters and of course INEC officials who are casting out their votes. And yes, voting has commenced. And also, when we got to Azuzu polling unit 5, we noticed that there was no voter on ground. Yet we had INEC officials
In
who
Azuzi,
were
what
on
is
ground.
it? Azuzi 1 or 2?
Azuzu 2.
Azuzi 2,
Polling
there was
unit 5.
no voter on ground.
Yes. No voter on ground, no voter at all on ground. So we had to ask the polling unit agent and of course yes, POA, the agent, and she said, well, there was nobody on ground. They were seated. We had oil security officials also seated.
Okay.
Nobody was there.
Okay, so that means we are beginning to perceive some sort of voter apathy.
Yeah.
But aside that, the supposed polling units where accreditation started at 9:50 instead of 8 a.m., are they going to be extending time for them? And did you find out the supposed challenges that led to the starting at 9:50 a.m.?
Well, late arrival of the INEC officials, although they said they've been here since, but I really can't say why. From the voters, when they commenced voting, they said everything was going on well. The Beavers, I have just interviewed someone, which I'll be sending soon still,
Okay.
that Beavers are working well. Just some itches in perhaps arrangements and preparations, but everything is going on well. Yeah.
Okay, so apart from eaches and arrangements, everybody has been accredited in that said polling unit?
Not everybody. Accreditation is on while voting.
And that's all for the Yenebo. Is there any other polling unit you have records from?
I beg your pardon.
Is there any other polling units apart from Ikenebo, Azuzi 1 and Azuzi 2?
Okay, because I am covering at Owerri Municipal.
Okay.
So these are the units, yes, 1 to 7 that I will be going through. But then we'll still be looking at going to other polling units in close by villages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, apart from that, I'd like you to talk about voter apathy for this Ikenebo. Can you shed more light on the number of people that are registered and, of course, maybe the number of people that are on ground right now?
Come again.
The number of people that were registered to vote for this said Ikenebo, and then is there voter apathy for this said polling unit?
Okay, so information on ground says about 3,619 3,619 in Kenegua voters are supposed to be casting their votes today.
Sorry, Victoria, if I heard you correctly, 3,619 people registered for a Kenegbo, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Who are eligible to vote.
Eligible to vote.
But
okay.
So far, we don't see that numbers here. We don't see that numbers here so far.
Oh wow.
All right. Thank you so much, Victoria. Hang in there and stay safe. We'll call you again.
I also want to, and I also want you to note the fact that in terms of I know campaigns are over, but when we got into Imo Owerri, what we noticed was the billboards. We noticed one political party, which is the incumbent, just one political party billboard in all areas. So it just seems as though there is no
There's
sort
just
of
one party. Okay. So you, just for confirmation purposes, you only saw billboard for just one political party in Owerri. That's Imo State?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for your observation, Victoria. That was all for now.
All right. Thank you.
All right, so it's back to you. You heard most of the things she actually said. And what she said last that actually caught my attention is the fact that there's just one political party signboard, which means that maybe the majority of the majority are actually mounting their, powers there. Let's put it on that. So what do you make of it, and how do we begin to move forward from here?
I think it is it's a normal thing when you go to a state where a particular political party is in power. You tend to see more of their presence in terms of posters, billboards, and all of that. And don't forget, Owerri is the capital of Imo State. So and that also tells you how visible that the political party in power would tend to display their posters on the billboard. I don't think it has to deal with the campaign intimidations and all of that. This is what happens in most of the states, state capital. If you go there, you see the billboards of the party in power, you see the billboards and the posters of the governors and all of that. It's a normal thing, but what I would take exceptions to and condemn outrightly is the voter intimidation he did made mention of, and it's actually going to be to the disadvantage of the incumbent governor who is also running for this particular election, because if there is any discrepancy between the number of voters registered in the beavers and the number of vote cards, that's an outright annulment of that particular polling unit. And I think they should be smart and intelligent enough not to allow some of these things to to come from their own what would I call it, recklessness, or a kind of not being careful, right? So if you tend to allow some of these things, these are something that the opposition can use against you at the tribunal, and this is something that they should not even give a room for. They shouldn't allow it to be happening. They should allow everybody to come and exercise their right of franchise. If you really did well, you shouldn't be scared of, clinching your mandate. It's that simple.
Okay, I totally agree. Our viewers, we should let you know that our phone lines are open for you to call in and let us know what you think about the ongoing elections. All right, so back to you, Mr. Tochukwu. Now, part of the complaints, aside the fact that there's voter intimidation, is also the fact that there's voter apathy. People know that these are locations that are prone to, violence. And then people are no longer coming out, even with all the assurance the security operatives gave us. People didn't even give them the benefit of doubt that the NSA says this is our litmus test, and we must make sure that everybody is safeguarded and fine. With all the reports of how much armed men have been, positioned in different locations, and in these 3 states where election is going on, we still have places that voters have refused to show up.
Let me tell you why it has to be like that. And most interestingly, you would find out that the youth who are ordinarily supposed to be at the front line of the, voting lines are not going to come out in the election day to come and vote. It's usually the old people, our mothers, our fathers, and all of that. And these are people who cherishes their life so much. So the fact that government and security agencies have assured you that, look, you'll be safe, go out and vote. They are telling you from the report they have, but you are there on the field looking at your life. Do you understand? I don't think it's you need anybody to tell you that it is time for you to run and save your life. You first of all need to save your life before you can give somebody access to power by giving them mandates through the ballot. So I think it's more or less of the security report will definitely tell you that the coast is clear. Go out there and exercise your franchise. But what when you come out to vote and the coast is not clear now? will you still go and rely on what the government has told you? So I think it's more of the people that are physically on the field are the ones seeing whether the security is actually there doing their job or not.
So, and then even about talking about security doing their job or not, in this case now, for some polling units that Victoria spoke about, she said they had security people on ground, they have the INEC staff on ground, but
there are no voters.
There are no voters. So what exactly is the problem? Could it be said that the previous elections have had a major or ripple effect on the election?
Very, you know, like my people will say that when you have had a test or bite of a snake, when you see a rope, you will be scared. You will presume that it's the same snake. So if you have been, you know, previously threatened by insecurity during the election, of course, nobody will tell you. It will automatically sink into your psyche that this next election, there will be no difference. So, do you understand? And I think this is what gives room to rigging. You have access to rigging election when you have voter apathy. Because when the voting population is very little, you have enough time to manipulate. But when it's very high, the opposite is what it becomes.
But we can't talk about voter apathy without talking about voter intimidation. Of course, all these things, they work hand in hand.
They are all... and
then if there's intimidation, exactly, if there is intimidation, you see voter apathy, and then which gives room
so insecurity. Exactly, that's part of the thing. And I think I think that this is where the security agency really have to do their job. If somebody has come out to vote, I think what is your mandate at that point as a security agent is to make sure that the person did voted and stand there to allow his votes to be counted. But in a situation where they have come out and you are also there as a security agent to do your job, and you allow them to get intimidated and refuse them to participate in that electoral process, I think you have not done your job, with all due respect, because the essence of why the security agencies are being deployed at that polling booth is for them to secure the voters as well as secure the votes.
All right.
So if somebody has succeeded in coming out and you could not secure him to vote, the essence of your security has been defeated.
That would mean that there's already trust deficit with the citizens because they no longer believe that they can actually be protected even by the security.
But that's what it means. That's what it means.
Well, I think we should also look at some of the statistics of those that are expected to be voters today, because normally we were so optimistic. We felt like maybe because people can now see that, oh, from the previous elections, we saw that even a particular party, it used to be a battle of just two-party system. And now we saw that it became like a three-party system. So which means that on one hand, there was an expectation of maybe people now know that they have a voice. So which simply means that they can make efforts to actually vote. But from the look of things, I think from the category and statistics, we have about, for the youth now, we have from 18 to 34. We know that in Imo State, about 801,278 of them are actually registered voters who have their PVCs. And then the elderly from 50 to 69, about 559,122 of them. And then in the middle age of 35 to 49, we have about 783,120 of them, which makes up 32%, 33%, 23%, and 12% respectively for 70 and above, who happen to be 276,402. Now, in this situation, do you see a situation where, and also another thing that I noticed is the statistics between the male and the female voters. We have the male voters happening to be 49% and the female voters 51%. And if you now look at those in the race, governorship candidates in the race, we have about 49 of them as male and just 3 of them as female. Now, these questions are now, we have more women voting, but we have few women representatives. We have more youth supposed to vote, but we have very minimal youth in participation in the main as flag bearers. Why this?
I'm going to take this question from 2 sides.
Okay.
One is from the youth perspective in terms of population and numbers, and 2 is the women in terms of also their population and numbers. What it means on the first perspective is that if realities are created by human beings, if you want to create your reality today, pronto, it will happen. If you look at the statistics you've read out, if the youth of Imo State wants to create their reality in terms of who they want to vote into power, they will create it. because the statistics is there.
Yes, exactly.
You don't need miracle to
happen.
To happen for you to do this. It's just creating your own reality. But then again, you need to look at it from the real politics itself. The majority of these guys you've counted are hungry people. And in our electoral cycle, we have not, had that electoral maturity enough for people to stand on their will without allowing their stomach infrastructure to control them. And this is one of the major problems we have all over Africa in terms of election, especially Nigeria. Now, the youth are in the majority in terms of the statistics. They have the power in their hands to decide who goes there. But on the day of election, these people are not going to come out. Even if they do, they are prone to selling their electoral right because they do not understand the kind of power they have. And this is a major problem. Now, the issue is how do we begin to, talk into their psyche to change their perspective, to understand the power that they have. And that's one side. Another side is how many of these youth are politically informed. Most of them do not belong to any political party. They just come out to do it, that youthful exuberance. So they do not understand the consciousness of what it takes to be electoral participants. They are supposed to be the machinery that drives the state in terms of the power that they have. Now, this one side. On the other side, for the women.
Exactly.
You see, if you look at most of these women, some of them belongs to a particular political party. The data did not show that this is PDP, this is APC, or this is SDP or Labour Party, as the case may be. But most of them would actually be registered members of a political party. And if they are, it means that they are going to be pay allegiance to their political party, regardless of how many number of women that are running. They may most likely not vote them because they are not running under their political party. These are angles we also need to look at it from. And then again, I think it's important for us to understand that, and you cannot take this away from the global trends of the current situation in politics. The world is changing, and the future is women, right? In terms of leadership positions. And Nigeria is not going to be an exception. I like that. It is time. It is time for us to give room for women to be, on that table. Because the truth is that if you are not at the table, you are on the menu. And the only way you can, change this system we're talking about is by giving the women the opportunity for them to be at the table.
Okay, I actually made this reference because I know you would always say that election speaks to data and not emotions. So that's why I had to bring out this data for you to just do a little bit of analysis on it, because most of the time we see more women participation but less women representation.
Yes, and I think I should say this before we go out of this trend. The OB mantra should not be downplayed, especially in the Southeast. We could see how it played out during the presidential election. That OB mantra is still going to play a very pivotal role in Imo State, because Imo is one of the core southeastern states, just like Enugu and Anambra.
Now, talking about that OB mantra now, there are conversations around Olu now, the people from Olu being people that have held power for so long because they believe that they are the majority. I think for over 24 years as against other aspects. Now, do you see a situation where the people will feel like, I think you've ruled for too long, and may not give the incumbent the room to take another tenure?
I see that, and I also see some certain things that people have not actually seen. Okay. If you interview an average Imo State citizens, they will tell you, like they always say, which of course I don't even believe because I'm a lawyer, they will always say that the governor, the sitting governor now, who is also an aspirant, a governorship candidate of APC, they will say that is a Supreme Court governor because the Supreme Court ruled in his favor, right? And then he happened to become the governor of Imo State. So, in other words, they are saying that they did not give him mandate to rule them as their governor. They did not elect him into office. It was Supreme Court that imposed him on them. That is what they say. You understand? So, and I think with that kind of perception, is going to actually affect the voting pattern. You cannot, they are human beings.
Of course.
If they are, and they are the people who participate in the election, they are the people who vote. The governor only has one vote, probably with the wife and family, 2, 3, 4 votes. Do you understand? What happens to other votes that will come from other
political? Don't undermine the power of incumbency.
Exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, of course. Why we recognize the power of incumbency? It's also in this same country that incumbent governor had been defeated.
Even an incumbent president.
It happened in Zamfara.
Yeah.
Even an incumbent president.
Yes, so these are no matter how we look at it from the power of incumbency, the people are the sovereignty, and sovereignty lies on the people. So if you do not win their heart, your power of incumbency will have a limitation. Actually, it's going to have a limitation.
Well, it's still speaking about power of incumbency as we round up for this segment. Of course, we know we have the right to equal and access, of course, opportunities in Nigeria. And now, speaking about Victoria calling from Owerri to say, oh, she noticed just one particular. So are you trying to say that because there's just one political party and it's a sitting political party ruling a particular state, we shouldn't see other aspirants or all these candidates? Of course, we shouldn't see their billboards everywhere. And don't you think this is why there is the voter intimidation? Because now we have a video of Governor Uzodinma saying, oh, power. What he said was relative to what President Tinubu said, where he said power is not given, power is taken.
But this is a general philosophy when it actually comes to
it's
power.
It's not just about general philosophy. Whether
like power is given,
it's taken.
But what I'm trying to even say is that I think let me first of all disabuse our mind from, using a particular local government, which is the Imo Central now, which also happens to be the capital of Imo State, Owerri Central, which also happens to be the capital of Imo State. Let us not use the fact that Hope Uzodinma's billboards and posters were cited there, and other political parties and the candidates were not cited there. You cannot use that to also remove the fact that other parties and their candidates may also be cited in another local government,
but
where
not the Imo State capital.
Exactly.
But why not the capital? That's
that's what I told you. That if you look at the entire 36 states in Nigeria, the capital would always, whether during election or not, you would always see that posters and billboards of the sitting governor, right, and the party in power, because it's like a kind of a flashpoint for anybody who is coming into the state. Probably that particular billboard were not even there during the election. It has been there all along, and you do not expect other candidates who are not in power to fix their billboard in a state when it's not election period. It's possible that Imo State governor had all along his billboard even before the election, and that is the capital city, so it's very, very possible.
I don't know why billboard is beginning to sound like some sort of voter intimidation strategy.
Exactly.
Well, I do not actually know. But I feel that there is also a legal issue surrounding those billboards, like all these advertisement agencies.
So are you trying to say the advertisement agencies would favor the sitting governor over the other candidates?
No, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that probably the other candidates did not try to explore that opportunity, right, to fix their own billboard.
All right, thank you so much, Usman Tochukwu. We really appreciate your time and your analysis today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you very much for joining us on the program.
All right, viewers, let's go on a quick break to bring you more details. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now let's go to Kogi State, where our correspondent is currently standing by. Mavis Akko.
Good morning, Mavis.
Good morning, Mavis. Yes. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Could you please give us updates on what's happening in Kogi State, precisely the location where you are?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm at Igalamela local government area. That's the local government area and the polling unit of the SDP, Social Democratic Party candidate. We're actually awaiting his arrival. Election started at 8:30, and what we can see here, we have a mammoth crowd. We have a very large crowd here that is It seems almost impossible for the security agencies, but they're actually trying. They're trying their best. The police and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps has tried to put them to order. You can see that the crowd is really, really large. The massive turnout of voters here, even while we're coming down here, is very encouraging. At each polling unit, from where we started to this place, from Lokoja down to this local government, we noticed a massive turnout of voters. Electorates are actually out here to exercise their rights. They are saying they are optimistic about participating in the election, and they say that they believe that this election will give them the people's, it will be the people's choice.
All right, let's talk about the military presence and safety of the voters that are actually out there. What is it like out there?
Sorry, the network, this place is very very noisy. I don't know if you can ask the question again.
What is the military presence like out there for the safety of the voters?
Okay, thank you. What we noticed is at every point entry of a particular local government, you see the military. They have their armored tanks everywhere. Even some local government areas that, according to them, those areas have been having security issues over time during election. The military presence is high. It's high at every point. It's high. Security agencies. We got to a point that even we, who are the media, they had to scan our code to actually see that if we are either impersonating someone or we are actually the media. So you see that this is the technology actually even helped, because the military were able to find out if we are actually the name or the picture that is written on this card, and they discovered that we're the one. So this actually has helped to ensure that they've kept to their words, as according to what they've said, that the election is going to be peaceful for all voters in Kogi State.
So it seems like everything is peaceful over there, Mavis.
Sorry, I need people to speak. The crowd is the noise here is really loud, so I need you to, I don't know if you can repeat the question again.
Is the election peaceful over there at the polling unit where you are at right now?
Okay, yes, right. The election is peaceful. The election is peaceful. Though one thing we wish would have happened is, because of this mammoth crowd, we have 4 police officers here and 2 security agencies here. I believe that if maybe next time the security agencies will learn to increase the number of security agencies at polling units that are experiencing or are going to have mammoth crowd like this. If the crowd is so large, it's long behind. I really do not know how, but I believe that just this 6 security agencies are trying, but I know that.
Okay, can you get the details of the number of people that actually registered for that set polling unit?
Okay, now the camera is going to walk us to where they are actually voting, so you can get.
Okay, let's get to see that.
Okay, let's get to see that.
Sorry.
You see the turnout.
Okay. Sorry. Please, can we get Can we get the numbers of voters registered? How many voters registered voters?
1,236.
Okay, 1,236.
32 voters, okay.
And yes, you can see them here. This is what's happening.
Has everything accreditation been done for that polling unit, or you're still dealing with accreditations?
Sorry, can you come again?
Are you still in the process of accrediting most of these voters, or you're done with accreditation? Yes, that's correct.
Accreditation, right?
Has accreditation ended?
Has it ended? As accreditation and
what is happening right here is that there's no accreditation before voting. So the moment they accredit here, you go to the voting points. So that's what they're doing.
Okay, so what about the beavers machine?
What about the beavers?
You can see it, yes.
Yes.
The beavers machine, so far so good. We haven't experienced any issue concerning the beavers since we arrived here. We've noticed, like you can see, they're actually taking someone right now, and we haven't noticed, we haven't experienced. Let's wait for, okay, she has just been captured and then she has been confirmed. So it's not giving. The beavers for now is working, is in good condition.
Okay. All right, so maybe.
So we are just awaiting the arrival of the SDP candidates.
Okay, so as a crime correspondent yourself, over time, I want to find out, have you noticed any, have you suspected anything around vote buying so far?
No, none at all. We haven't. None. For now, probably, most times when they see the media, they could just want to stop that. But for now, we haven't noticed any vote buying. We haven't. We haven't noticed any vote buying. But what we noticed, like I told you, is the fact that these security agencies are overwhelmed with work because of the mammoth crowd. And yes, that's what we've just noticed. But for now, they are all coordinating well. For now, they are coordinating well.
Mavis, we lost you.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much, Mavis. Stay safe. We'll call you again.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bring you more updates.
There's been a lot already going on in Kogi State. So as against Bayelsa and maybe some parts of Imo State, there's, well, this is just one of the polling
exactly what I told you. See, it's just people's feeling of civic responsibility and duty to come out and vote. And with the belief that if they come out, they will help their preferred candidate win, and their candidate will help their state become better. You
so in Bayelsa
1,236
in one polling unit.
Yes, but now there are also complaints of, because as it is, normally it's supposed to be from 8 to 2 p.m. So, yes. But this is like to 12, already 11:30, and you see the kind of large crowd they still have to contend with just 6 people.
They'll be there till 6 or 8 p.m.
That would mean that you'll have to extend the voting time.
They would have to.
You think people would actually let them go? And you said something about people wanting to come out to vote for their preferred candidate. So is it, could it be said that Bayelsans do not have their preferred candidate, given that most of them didn't even turn out for the election?
Okay, you see, Kogi's election is quite different. You have 3 major tribes in 3 territorial zones with their candidates. From 1999 till 8 years ago, Igalas ruled for about 16 years. So in the last 8 years, the Ibiras have also ruled for another 8 years. And now, most of the voting, sorry to say, is still going along tribal lines. So everybody is saying, let's go and bring all our people. We're seeing people traveling from Kaduna, free buses for all the 3 different candidates from Kaduna State, from Zuba here. People are moving that for free, so that they will have a large turnout, because they know that the person you are competing against is going to bring a lot of his own people. So you have to bring the best from your own area. So this is what makes election more competitive. But in Bayelsa, I think they're basically all from the same place. So if the governor continues, we are fine. If they win him, we are fine.
So there's just that lackadaisical attitude about however it turns out.
We will do well. They don't have a problem.
Okay, but from the look of things and from the unfoldings, what has surprised you so far in these elections?
Yeah, the turnout is good. I'm happy with the presence of police and military. I'm happy, because people must be secure. That's the first thing we must get. The candidates are all expecting victory. All. Without fail.
Which is impossible.
But it's good for the elections.
Thank you. So
that 4 candidates go into an election, and on an election day, they are all expecting victory. Their supporters are expecting victory. It's good for our democracy. It's good.
All right. There's another thing I noticed about those on the queue just now. I noticed that there were lots of young people. Yes. And according to statistics, I think from 18 to 34 makes up about 44% of the registered voters in Kogi State, and we have about the middle age 35 to 49 has about 32%, and the elderly has about 18%, and while the old people 70 and above have about 6%. So from the look of things, do you see a situation where the youth between the age 18 to 34 and the middle age can actually make a change when it comes to these elections?
Yes, they can. Yes, they can, because they now know they have the strength, they have the numbers. But you see, till you learn the political process, you always have to choose between the black pots and another black object. I lost the direction I'm trying to say.
Of course.
The primaries is where politicians win. Because once the politicians field their own candidate in the primaries, all you are doing today is to choose out of the candidates that they have already given you. So I could see there a lot of young men, young boys. I would like that, seeing more young men, boys coming out to vote. Back then we used to have more women, but we're seeing young boys coming out to vote in their 20s. It's very good. It's very good for politics. And then it will force politicians to begin to deliver or begin to watch what they promise.
What they promise. Okay, now speaking about politicians and what they promise, I'd like us to switch a bit to inclusion for women in this election. Yes. And only female candidates among 52 contenders. And of course, that is a low turnout, if you ask me. Exactly, just three female candidates, given the number of women we have that are actually the voters themselves. Don't you think that's a huge disparity?
It's very, very poor. But remember, I said party primaries. Party primaries is where the problem always comes up.
All right. I think we have our correspondent is on ground again to give us some of the details on those that are currently voting. They have some things to say to us. Hello, Mavis, are you there? Mavis Akol, can you hear us? So this is a call back to Kogi State to get more details from our correspondent on ground. Mavis Akol, can you hear us? Okay, prior to the time that she's going to be responding, I would like to get your thoughts and your reactions in relation to the Kogi State and the three frontrunners. I know we have about 18 of them in contest, but let's talk about the three frontrunners. Who do you see, according to, let's say, can you foretell who's going to, pick the ballot?
Yes, we have four frontrunners. We have PDP, Dino, we have Ododo, APC, we have Muri Ajaka from SDP, the surprising candidate, and we also have Honorable Leke Abejide. So these are four people from three places. Dino and Abejide are expected to share their votes from that region. Okay. Can I go on?
Yes, go on.
Yeah,
yes, go on.
And then Muri will pick almost 80% of Igala land. Senator Natasha would also try to divide.
Okay, apologies, sir. Before you continue, let's quickly listen to our correspondent is back online. Hello, Mavis.
Good morning, Mavis.
Yes, hello.
Mavis, can you hear us now?
Okay, so we have one of the electorate here. Can you hear?
Yes,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yes,
yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Mavis, we can hear you.
Okay, we have one of the electorate here who just casted her vote, and then she's going to tell us whatever. She's going to tell us her experience. She wants to speak to us, so I don't know. So you can actually get to hear her. So please, your name, ma'am?
I'm Yaya Fatima Bintu.
Okay, so what time?
Mavis, could you speak
louder, please?
Okay, yes. So please speak louder. So how will you describe this election process here at your polling unit?
The thing is, I would say Alhamdulillah, because I'm a Muslim. The election is going on smoothly. Although I've never seen a lot of majority of people like this before, because the love they have for our people is too much. I've been voting right from when I was 18 years old, and now I'm 32 years old now. But people have never come out like this to vote to cast their vote for a governorship election before. So I thank God and I pray to Almighty Allah for our people that will be able to come out today and vote for our people. I thank God, and inshallah, victory is ours. And I know, by God's grace, Alhaji Yakubu Muritala Ajaka will be the next governor. Inshallah. Okay, I'm sorry about that.
So,
you understand?
I just want you to talk about security. What do you think? What are you going to give kudos to security, or what do you think should be done concerning? What do you think?
Could you please be more audible?
I thank the Almighty Allah because the security they mount for us. Our voting here is going on peacefully. Everywhere is secured. No fighting, no gunshots, nothing. Everywhere is calm. We thank God and we thank you people for providing us the security. Thank you very much.
Yes, back to the studio. Did you hear her? Back to the studio.
Yes, we can.
Hear her? Okay, do you have any questions for her? Do you have any questions for her?
Oh, okay.
Do you have more
you hear us,
questions for her? Can you hear me? Yes, do you have more questions?
Can you hear us now?
Do you have more questions for her?
Okay, so she
Yes,
specifically said something. Are you there? Okay, she said since she started voting, she had never seen so much presence and so much voter turnout. So what does she think could actually have influenced this level of voter turnout?
Okay, now the question is, you said something that since you have been 17 or 18, you've never seen a massive turnout of votes. So they're asking you, what do you think would have encouraged this voter turnout?
Yes, honestly, my own thinking, to my own understanding, I think our people are ready to come out to cast their vote, as in they are tired of suffering. They are no more scared of anything because of the security they brought for us. That is why they came out to cast their vote very well. You understand? You know, unlike before, they don't used to come out because of the fighting, gunshots here and there's stealing of ballot box and everything. But this time around, they came out because there's a lot of insecurity in Igalamela local government as I'm speaking to you. Even in my polling unit as I'm speaking to you now, a lot of security is mounted as I'm speaking to you. That is why they have the courage for them to come out. Thank you very much.
Yes, we did.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much,
Mavis.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We thought we could probably get another person, probably a male down to speak with, to find out their own opinion too. But before that, Mavis, what can you say about the gender, the number of people that are out there when it comes to the age range and also the gender of voters currently on the queue?
Okay, what I see here is we have a lot of women participating, a lot of mothers.
Could you please be more audible?
Mostly you can see their age. A lot of mothers, I think.
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Now.
Can you hear me? Is it audible now? Okay, we have a lot of female from what I've seen here.
The mic is
I think
not
I think we can't hear you anymore. You need to be more audible.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me? All right, I said we have a lot of female women. Women are mostly participating in the election. That's what I see here.
A lot of what?
Women are participating more in the election. A lot of mothers, more than
behind
men.
her, so that gives us an understanding of what she's talking about.
You can see them. Yes, no. What we can even have, yes, behind me you can still see youths. Men are also participating. It doesn't mean that men are not participating. But what I saw earlier, was a lot of participation of women also. We have women, we have youth, I think we have all electorates who are supposed to participate in the election here, because we have both the men and women. So we can actually talk to let's talk to one of the men.
Okay,
here.
what's
So
the ratio of men to women in this said polling unit? The ratio of men to women in the said polling unit.
So you can.
Yes.
I came for voting here.
Hold on.
Okay,
He wants
all
to
right.
talk. Yes.
Okay.
So, all right. So tell us your experience. What time did you come here? And
Yes, I was there around 8:30 a.m. That was when we started casting the vote. I speaking with you, and by name Mohammed Abdullah, speaking from Kogi State in Igalamela, in the headquarters of Igalamela in Ajaka. The election is moving fluently as INEC demand. So there is no fight, no war, nothing. We are doing the casting peacefully. So that is all.
Yes, we heard him.
I can move to another.
Let's take one more.
Let's just take one more. Okay.
Hello.
Can you hear? Okay, there's another person who wants to speak.
My name is Suleiman Yusuf from Igalamela.
Okay. Hold on. Just hold on. He's talking. Yes.
Hello. My name is Suleiman Yusuf from Igalamela. So we started the voting as from 8:30 this morning, and the voting is going successfully with security enough. We have enough security here.
Okay, so why are you casting your vote at this time? Why are you casting your vote at this time?
We are casting our vote because
why are you casting since you came here since 8:30?
We are on the queue. We are on the queue, and the queue is moving successfully. I have not seen any problem at all.
You heard him.
Well, I think we did a little. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mavis.
We'll reach you again.
All right,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mavis. Well, you've heard that contrary to what has happened in Bayelsa, looks like the voter turnout is massive in this particular polling unit, and looks like maybe for Kogi State especially. I'd like to get your analysis on that.
You see, people need to feel involved. People need to know that there's a stake here. It's every 4 years, and usually, sometimes every 8 years. From the look of things in Nigeria, once somebody wins the first 4 years, he most times 80% of the time wins the next 4 years. So when you have a new circle like this, you need to come out. You need to, first of all, make your choice, and then you now say, okay, this is the candidate I think I want, and I believe he will deliver for us, and then you go for him. You give it all the effort. Like you were asking me before,
yes.
From the way the state is placed, 50% of the voters are from Igala land, 25 from the Okun side, 25 from the Bra side. The government is backing the Bra candidates. The Okun side has 2 candidates, Dino and Abejide. So that they will be splitting 25% of votes. And Muri is almost going to be able to go home with 50% of the votes. So if he picks 80% of the votes from his area, it's home and dry. This is just political analysis. This is outside emotion, outside. So, but if there was less security, that will have changed all of this. Yes, yes, because you will have seen a lot of council elections in the area in which the gubernatorial candidate wants to ensure the votes are low. And then you see more security where the governor or the powers that be want the results high. But with good security, you can see people come out.
It's just obvious that the people of Igalamela, the people around Igalamela, are just ready to make a difference.
Very ready.
Because that lady specifically said, since her 38 years, she has never seen so much voter turnout. And we can also see the category of people out there, both male and female, looking very well represented. Even the aged were there. So it looks as though the people are actually ready to make a difference.
Part of what spiked this was two police officers died 3 days ago because they were guarding the house of the campaign DG to SDP. I had to go visit the wife of one of the slain men. They cried outside that house for 6 hours. But there are people who immediately had that, said, I must go and vote. They left Abuja here and headed. For this reason, I must go and vote. So you see, sometimes when people are under pressure, when people are harassed, they now know the stakes involved and they now put in their best.
Okay, so so far, I think we would say INEC's work is commendable.
Yes, Beavers is working.
And the timing.
Timing is good. We're all just praying for the uploading of
results. Exactly. I was going to get to the IRF part because that is what Nigerians are looking out for.
I'll pray for the uploading of results. But if the Beavers are used, Beavers is an excellent device. One of the things I've written in the past is that we pray the Beavers becomes a voting device. And once we get to that point, we're good. We're home and dry.
And probably, hopefully, we'll have to just sit in our homes and actually vote eventually. And we hope that there will be no technical glitches. Now let's go to Imo State before we leave this conversation. Now, Imo State and the dynamics playing, I want to get your opinion on those that are the front runners of the elections in Imo State.
Imo State, of course, you cannot do away with Hope Uzodimma. He's been a senator. He's also the incumbent governor. He was able to. He's been able to do a few projects, but he's been owing salaries also, and a lot of people still don't give him the credit, like I said, because they still call him Supreme Court governor. But he's a man who loves to fight. So you're going to see a fight in the polls. But since we've not heard of any, surprisingly, we've not seen any real fracas in the state. So it's going to be tough. Most of the top names there are not coming out to campaign for anybody, which is surprising. Rochas has not come out to campaign for anybody. Uche Umosu and others have. So maybe they may have a back-end deal supporting the candidate, and they do not want the governor to be aware, because I don't see what's hard to support your own party. So we may see an upturn in. I don't expect any changes in Bayelsa. We may see an upturn in for PDP in Imo, but it will be to be very close margin. And then Kogi, like I said before, I expect SDP to pick it, but I also expect all the other candidates to do very well.
Okay, but according to statistics, it's very obvious that the youth between 18 to 34 and the middle age between 34 to 60, and we see that these people have much more voting power. A lot of them actually, registered to vote more. But we can see eventually that not much of them actually participate in elections. So what's the place of political participation for some of these youth? Because I said they are not properly informed, they are not politically inclined. So a lot of them don't even come out to vote. We see most persons playing football on the mornings of elections. So what's the place of this voter education, proper voter education? Because we know INEC could always say we actually educated people. What's the place of proper voter education beyond just the urban areas to the rural areas, the nooks and crannies of each state, local government, wards, polling units?
Okay, so elections is a very big thing. And you see, the local governments and the places you call rural areas, sometimes they're even far more educated in politics than those in town.
Exactly.
Because if you go to all the rural areas, you will see their votes come out. Check any election. The rural areas have their votes, but they vote along traditional lines. So the politicians try to isolate those rural votes from new entrant politicians. So those ones fight for the votes in the town, in the cities, while they stick to owning the votes in the rural areas. So most of these youths, hardly any of them are picked up as SAs or youth leader, or you need to make election come to them as one of my man is SA. One of my man is an aide. One of my man. So it becomes real. It becomes real to them. For now, it doesn't look real to them. So they just stay aloof, go and play football, go and visit their friends, see it as a holiday off.
Well, INEC has said that they will provide level playing field in this said election. I'd like to take your overview. Do you think this is what has been happening in this said election for these 3 states right now?
Yes, INEC has done well. Yes, I commend the president. I commend the head of the security forces. They've done very well. They've done fairly well. We hope to see a good result. We want to see everything run smoothly. This is not 37 states where we can claim we have a problem. This is 3 states. Let's do it right. Let INEC use this opportunity to reclaim their name and let people see that INEC can do this right.
So that means we look forward to not just a free, fair, credible election, but also very likely a verifiable one.
Yes, a verifiable one that we want to get to a point where, as this voting is going on, the IREV is working. We can see the number of votes. We can even see the number of people on the BVAS machine that has been used, and we can tell from before the close of day, we should be anybody on all the 4 sides We will expect the political parties to have their own platforms.
Yeah. All right, speaking about 1 minute ago, the SDP governorship candidate, Murtala Jaka, just casted his vote as the Okotonowa polling unit 5 in Owolakpa Ward, Idaliku government area in Kogi State. Of course, and there are chairs and all of that in that area as we prepare for what is going to come next after the election. But then still speaking about IREF, now that we are the previous cases with the judges where they said it's just a promise. Now, if INEC fails to deliver on transmitting results in real time, do you think there's going to be any changes at all as regards voter apathy and all of that?
It will surely affect voter apathy. But what you cannot hold INEC for is, this is a machine, this is a technology. It's not used in most countries. I think we should praise them to some extent. Beavers is not used in most of the
I think
countries.
we have the clip of
Jaka, yes, voting.
Beavers is not used in many countries. Less than 20 countries use.
Yeah, feel happy. We thank God for this day. From what we are seeing, it is clear that we are the one. I am the one that have the majority. But the report I'm getting from Okehi, Adavi, we are very forwarded to Abuja. We are seeing they have not seen the original result sheet in Okehi, and Adavi. And I hope the INEC chairman is updated with this. Because there is no way they will do, we are going into an election, the original result sheet is not there. That's not the guideline. Everything about INEC arrangement is perfect. But there are men in Okehi, Adavi, and Okehi. They have compromised. They should question the returning officers in these 3 local governments that I have mentioned. Apart from that, every other arrangement from INEC is 100%.
How important is it to you?
This election is about the liberation of the people of Kogi State. That's what it is. It's about the liberation of the people of Kogi State.
Do you think you're going to win this election?
Certainly. I have the number. I have the people.
That's the SDP gubernatorial candidate for Kogi State right there, and he just casted his vote. So thank you very much for your time today. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, Engineer Toba, for joining us today on the program. All right, then, our viewers at home, this is where we wrap it up for this telecast. Our next section would be happening by 1 p.m., of course, with Annabelle Oji and Amadine Ogbewe. And not just that, we'll be taking focus and more reports from our correspondents in Imo State, Kogi State, and Bayelsa, of course. And this is where we wrap it up for now. I remain Messi. Bye-bye today.
And do well to know that our conversation comes up a very, very interesting session that you shouldn't miss out on. So do not touch the dial. I am Olamide Alhassan. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
It is the government of the party in government for INEC and INEC. The only thing that the people need to do, the only role the people have in democracy in Nigeria from that decision is that they should offer themselves to assemble